Hi, Craig with LeadershipMentor.com. This week I want to share with you two of the most important elements when we're providing feedback. The two things that I think are most important that we want to do on a consistent basis when we're providing feedback are going to be that we want clarity and agreement of the issue or the behavior. And the second one we're going to want to do is clarity on the desired behavior and action plan. So let's take a look at each one of these individually. When it comes to clarity and agreement of the issue or behavior, oftentimes what we do when we're leading other people, we want to sit down and we kind of skip through this process. We go through and we may describe what we heard someone say about a behavior that the team member did, and then we quickly go and simply make some statements around how this is inappropriate behavior or this needs to change, and we just describe what they need to do and get their agreement, and then we move on. Oftentimes we leave the team member not really sure exactly what it is that they actually did. And so we want to look at this in stages, and this isn't the full feedback process, but this is an element of it. So we really want to stop and we want to have a very clear statement where we simply say to the team member, I want to talk with you today because I observed a time yesterday afternoon that you did, and then you would describe the behavior. And you need to be very clear about that and then allow the team member to actually come back and agree that they understand or that they remember that. If you're in an environment where there's calls are recorded, then you can let them listen to the call, and that'd be pretty powerful as well. But you want to make sure that before you go any further that there is clarity and agreement of the issue that you're discussing with them. So we also want to make sure that it is factual. So if it's not something that you firsthand observed, that you want to really make sure that you have all your ducks in a row and that everything that you're going to present to the team member is accurate. And so you may want to go through and do your due diligence before that. Clarity and agreement around the issue or behavior. So we want to do the statement of observation and state the facts, and then agreement from the team member of that behavior. And so before you go on to the next step, it's really important that you hear the team member say, I understand. And so you can do that in a variety of different ways, but just get them to agree that they understand what the issue basically is. So the second element is going to be clarity on the desired behavior and the action plan. First, we describe in clear statements what you observe. This is the behavior that is incorrect or is unacceptable. And then this is the behavior that is acceptable or is the expectation. And I know that every feedback session is going to look a little bit different. It's not always as easy as that to simply describe a behavior. Really important that you look at this in two different sections. So once you've done that first part, now you want to make sure there's clarity on this is what you should do, this is the expected behavior, and then you move into the action plan. So the first thing is going to be clearly describe the desired behavior. And so you'd go through and you describe to the team member exactly what the behavior should look like. And you want to be very specific and make sure that the team member is tracking with you. Then you want to allow the team member to be part of the solution. And this is really a coaching element where we may say, okay, give me 3 different ways that you think you can change your approach when you're talking to a customer. And so you would allow the team member to be part of that solution by coming up with 2 or 3 different ways. And the reason we want to do that is because they may not come up with the first one that's going to be acceptable in your mind. And so you want to get them to really dig deeper. And this is how we can really integrate coaching into a simple feedback process. So allow the team member to be part of that solution by giving some of the resolutions that they think that they can do. And what we can do as the team leader or the coach is that if they're not coming up with something that you believe is going to be effective, just continue to say, what else do you think? Or can you think of another idea? Those are ways to continue to get the team member to resolve in their own mind how they can approach that problem and come up with a feasible solution. And then end with accountability statement. What we're looking for with the accountability statement is to have the team member simply state a summary of what they did. So that first part that we look at, what is the behavior that they did that was unacceptable? What is it that you should be doing? What is the desired behavior? And then how are you going to change your behavior to match the desired behavior? So that's really what we mean by an accountability statement. And I know that sounds trivial to have the team member part of this, but it's really, really important from an accountability standpoint that you get the team member to do these things. Because then when you follow up with the team member, you're going to really summarize what they agree to do. And so it sounds much different than if you simply just sit down and just say, this is what you did, This is what you should have done, and I want you to do this moving forward. That's not really an effective feedback session, and there's really no element of coaching in that as well. So we want to get the team member to really learn to think through things, and this is all part of development as we're also providing feedback and coaching. We're also developing our team member. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's helpful for you. Some caution here while we're providing feedback. We want to make sure that we're focusing on the behavior and not the person. I know I've mentioned that several times in different videos, but really important that we're not attacking the person themselves, but we stick to the behavior that you observed. We also want to stay away from words like always and never. Again, common sense, but anytime we start to talk about you're always late or you never provide the service that we want, that's probably not a true statement, and it's going to get the team member to kind of shut down and not really accept what you're coaching them on. So stay away from those absolute statements. And then finally, don't make assumptions. Make sure what you present to them is factual. So don't make any assumptions. And it's great to ask questions along the way as well. So you may state what you observed, and then have the team member actually talk about what was going through their mind or what was the logic or the thought process of the approach that they took. So this will help you to understand kind of what their thought process is, and it may also uncover some of the assumptions. You may not always have all of the detail. In a normal feedback process, what we would go through in much more detail would be thinking through these things before we actually sit down with the team member. But we want to make sure that we don't make those assumptions. Focus on the behavior, not the person. Stay away from words like always and never. And then finally, don't make assumptions along the way. I also want to encourage you to join our private learning community. This is not a Facebook community. This is on our own website. So I want to encourage you to join. You can go in, you can watch some videos. I post new articles and videos on a regular basis, and I do some book reviews and things like that. So come and join us in our community and learn and grow with other people. You can share your thoughts and your questions, and it's a community where like-minded people can come together, and we can learn and grow on how to best and effectively lead a team of people. So I hope you found that helpful, and I'll talk to you again next week. Take care.